With me on the show today is Frankie from Girls Rock DC. Say hi, Frankie.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Now, for those, if they don't know well, I tell you what, I got this little intro. How about we just do this the right way? So, I'm going to introduce you and then I'm going to have you tell us all about you. So, on DCMusicRocks.com, we are shining a spotlight on the great songs, artists, and incredible people behind the DC region's local music scene. And with a base in music education, Girls Rock DC aims to create a supportive, inclusive, and creative space for girls, non-binary, and trans youth of varying racial, ethnic, religious, and socioeconomic status to develop their self-confidence, build community, stand up, and rock out. If you caught all that, that was a lot. But they are very inclusive of all the backgrounds, abilities, identities, and experiences. So it's a very welcoming environment that they've created. And following in the footsteps of Girls Rock camps across the U.S., Girls Rock DC was founded in October of 2007 by an all-volunteer collective of DC metro area musicians, teachers, artists, and community organizers. So they create a week-long day camp for Washington, D.C. area girls age 8 to 18, as well as they have an after-school program. So the 2018 summer camp will take place July 9th to 13th, and will culminate with a big showcase Saturday, July 14th at the 930 Club. So basically, that gives you a little piece of it. But now, Frankie, now you can tell us all about it. Thanks for being here. This is cool. How did you get involved in Girls Rock DC?
Well, so I moved to DC about, I don't know, four years ago, and I'm a Brooklyn-based musician by heart.
Nice.
So when I moved to DC, it was winter, as winters can be pretty rough here, and I was just looking for some like-minded people that I could talk to, that we were on the same kind of wavelength, we believed in the same kind of things. And my bass player back home in Brooklyn said, you know what, my friend started this organization a couple years back called Girls Rock DC, maybe check it out. So went on the website, I reached out, I shot an email, and I got an email back, and they said, hey, we are usually summer camp, but right now we're doing an after-school program for the first time. And I came down, I checked it out, and I've been hooked ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what did you do? So you checked it out, and what did you discover when you checked it out?
Oh my God, it was amazing. The thing that really, really caught me and kind of like latched me in was the sense of community that they had. The amount of resources and just institutional knowledge that everybody was sharing, from I needed a place to live, somebody knew of an organization that can help me find a place to live. I needed a band. I was looking for a band when I came here. Traveling to New York was very far, and they helped me with that. The community aspect was really, really huge. And then to be able to work with youth, that was just something I never thought I would ever do. But seeing those kids' faces and seeing that the change in them really, really hooked me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now expand on the two. So there seems to be two things here. There's a summer camp and there's an after-school program. So talk about those.
Yeah, so Girls Rock started as a summer camp. One singular person decided to do a thing in their bedroom, and it blew up to this. Now we have about 60 campers per summer. It's a 5-day camp. Kids come in, first day of camp, they don't know each other. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Often they don't even know how to play an instrument. They've never seen a drum set or a guitar, and we teach them the basics of the instrument. We teach them how to create their own songs. And at the end of the week, they play a showcase at the 930 Club. In between that, learning music and getting to know each other, we also teach them some social justice stuff, some racial equality things, how to just be a good friend and a good human all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a summer camp.
And more on that, say a little more on that too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're teaching them, does that mean there's like classroom time where you've got a slideshow or something, or you're reading, or what is that
Yeah,
like?
so the first and foremost, we always lead by example. Our band instructors and coaches and volunteers really represent the community that we're serving. We have folks from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, and it really mirrors the kids that we're serving. In between, they'll have, let's say, they'll do their instrument instruction during the day, so they go to guitar instruction, and then have lunch, and then at the end of the day, they'll go to a workshop catered to their age group on different topics, from healthy relationships all the way to how to be a great showman.
Wow. And how did it start? Because it seems like it didn't start as a 5-day camp and a 9:30 club show. Like it had to. So how did it start, and how did it evolve?
It started with an idea of just how to bring this kind of thing that some of us have never had in our youth. How do we bring this to kids? And they worked out eventually how to do a summer camp, and it started out as just a 5-day camp with about 20 kids. And they did, I think, the first showcase, through DC Networks, and the organization was founded with DC musicians, and just networking, and 9:30 Club has always actually given us the space.
Wow.
So it's been 11 years now.
That's amazing. And so, I mean, I definitely, now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, all right, so what makes this a little special compared to another summer camp that parents could send their kids to? And it's not, obviously, playing the 9:30 Club would be a big one. That's a huge, wow, that's cool. So
my band
there's
would never
that.
play there, but
Right? I was going to say, there's a lot of bands that work a long time to play that stage, and you get to do it as a kid. That's awesome.
Pretty
So
cool.
there's that. But talk about what else is special compared to other summer camps.
I think what's really special is the kids really learn how to be good citizens in their communities. They learn how to, what's really necessary to build a good foundation within their communities. They build amazing relationships with each other. Maybe a kid from, Northwest would never get to meet a kid from Southeast, but here they do. It's really the great equalizer. And music is always the best thing that just unites everybody.
Absolutely. And so they're learning instruments, and I mean, social aspects. God, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And how does it, now the story behind the name, Girls Rock DC, where does that come from?
Well, so Girls Rock started actually as a movement that came out of the Riot Girl movement in the early 2000s. It started in the West Coast.
What's the Riot Girl movement? Say more on that.
Yeah. So Riot Girl movement, kind of the short story of is a second wave feminist movement that was really based in music. A lot of folks, Bikini Kill is one of the more famous of the bands, and really was the front runner of the whole movement, and other bands like Huggy Bear and different bands from DC and Portland, Seattle, really noticed, most of the music still to this day, most of the things you see in your everyday life are very male dominated, especially white male dominated. So these women said, enough is enough. We're creating spaces for women like us, and really pulling women to the front of these male dominated aspects.
Got it. So that Riot Girl was really just about down with the patriarchy, or like that, like let's empower the women.
Yeah, equality and bringing people on the same level.
Got it. And so then from that, Girls Rock, it's always been a camp?
Yeah, so those folks said, hey, we want to give back to our community because that's the most important thing. We need to lay the groundwork for the future, and that is within our youth. So they created a camp solely for girls, and that was based in music. That's always been the kind of thing. And then by way of mouth, bands touring with each other and saying, hey, my friend started this thing we call it Girls Rock wherever, Girls Rock Seattle, Girls Rock Oregon. And then folks in DC were like, hey, that's a really great idea.
That's cool.
I want to do that in my community, New York. And now it's a worldwide organization.
That's amazing. So all over the world, girls are going to camp. They're learning about instruments and social justice and all that stuff, and then they're playing shows.
Absolutely.
Wow. So it's the same model, all the cities. So if somebody listening has friends in another city, they might have a Girls Rock camp. It's same idea where they're going to learn how to play an instrument and then play a show.
Absolutely.
And over the course of a week. And I love that play the show part too, because that's, learning an instrument is fun, but then actually playing it in front of people is, for some people, that's the hardest part, and for other people, that's the fun part. And so it's great that you get to do that too. Yeah,
it really shows, the kids really get, here's something I'm deathly afraid of, I can't do. There's no way I can possibly write a song by myself. I'm only 8. And I definitely can't play in front of a whole bunch of people. And then we just ensure them to trust the process, and it just happens, and it's magical. And then they're like, well, I can do anything, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. That's really great.
That's amazing. And have you been around long enough to see those girls go on and do it for the rest of their life?
Oh
or
my gosh.
what have you seen?
So I also run the after school program. It's called
Oh yeah, talk about that too. I got so excited about the camp, we forgot to talk about the program.
So exciting.
Talk about after school, yes.
So during the after school program, it's where the summer camp's a 5-day, week-long summer like immersing kind of situation. The after school program is an 8 to 12 week, 1 day a week after school situation at a couple schools, local schools in DC, Southeast, Northwest, all over. And this one kid was so amazing. She was about 11 years old at the time, was playing keyboard. Some of her bandmates weren't as outgoing as they could have been, let's say, and she was also extremely nervous. So this band was kind of the more introverts. And then this kid went on to actually lead her school play. They did The Lion King, and her stage fright from the show that we played was right out the window. And she went on to play like the Ellen Show. They went all over.
Holy
incredible.
Smokes. God, that's so. And how long ago was it? Was this like recently, or was this, when was that?
That was about 2 years ago.
Wow. That is so cool.
Great.
I love it. And now you mentioned you play bass. Talk about music for you.
Oh gosh, so I grew up playing violin when I was like 4.
Okay.
That's kind of how I started. Music was always in my family.
Did you want to play violin, or was it one of those your parents said, I want you to play violin? Okay. God, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine said piano. Brian, you got to play piano.
Right.
I'm a freaking drummer. I don't want to play piano. Come on.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I'm with you. All right.
So my parents, they put me into violin. My older sister played piano. Meanwhile, we had, a saxophone in the house. We had actually 2 saxophones, a piano, a whole bunch of instruments. Grew up in the church where music was a really big part of my upbringing.
Absolutely.
And, went on to start playing trumpet and brass instruments once I got into high school. And always just kind of sang. I sang in a ska band, like you did in the 90s.
Nice,
Yeah.
yes.
And then I just decided, these bands that are really influential in my life, I want to be just like them at the ripe old age of 18. I didn't really have people telling me that I could do anything other than play violin and things like that. My dad even said, when I told him that I wanted to be a musician, he was like, well, you and 40,000 other people, so you should probably get a real job.
And 40,000 is an understatement, actually.
Absolutely.
There's so many 100,000s more, yeah.
Absolutely, and
Okay.
especially for a girl.
Yeah.
There's no way I can do that. I should probably, do anything else. So,
Which is a shame. I'm glad you're not sending that message.
yeah, I'm kind of rebellious, so
Yeah. Dad, we still love you.
I still love you, Dad.
But no, I'm
But
still
no.
doing music. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I taught myself how to play guitar, and I just really listened to bands like The Breeders and bands like Bikini Kill and all these other bands, and I just really try to do that. And I really, really wish I had an organization like Girls Rock when I was a kid to show me that I could actually do what I wanted to do, however I wanted to do it.
Yeah. It's great that it's great that you kind of have taken that, there wasn't that, and now you found it and you're helping. And what's your role with Girls Rock?
So,
how would you describe it?
Whew, how many hats? So Girls Rock has so many hats. My head's very big, so the main thing I do is I'm the GRASP coordinator. So it's the Girls Rock After School Program Coordinator.
Got it. GRASP.
Yeah.
I get it now. Okay.
That's my main role. During the summer, I'm now part of the camper committee team. So right now, camp is coming up July 9th. We actually have our applications out right now, and they close July 1st. So right now, it's just reading all the submissions. The kids get to fill out the application and also submit like an art project, a music song if they want, or a poem, and I get to read through all those wonderful things and then
Nice.
send out all the acceptance letters.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so, and now, while we're on the topic, then, if people have kids or girls that they know that are age 8 to 18, we said, if they have girls that they know that would like to be a part of that, how do they submit that application?
Yeah, so we accept kids from anywhere in the DMV area. We've actually had a couple campers who were visiting from Jamaica, visiting their families.
Wow.
So they've actually attended our camps as well,
Okay.
Which is really cool. And so they can go to girlsrockdc.org,
Okay.
and it'll send you to a link that has our camper application. And we accept any youth that are female identified, trans identified, gender non-conforming. Money is no issue. We offer lots of scholarships. Last year I think we had about 40% of our campers out of 60 were free tuition.
Wow.
We just fundraise like crazy. So if you also want to donate,
yeah, right. The donation. And actually, while we're talking about donations, there's another thing you can do, because I've talked about the DC Music Rocks Festival, and a portion of the proceeds are going to Girls Rock DC. Well, we're supporting this too. So you can come to that, and a portion of that we'll support them, and we'll be taking donations that night for sure. And so there's lots of ways to give to Girls Rock, and I love that we get to be involved with you guys too and get to help support this cause, because this is really cool.
Yeah.
And so now that's the applications. Now, two questions that I love to ask.
Yes.
One is, talk about you on the personal side now, outside of Girls Rock DC, like your personal life. What are your hobbies? Are there certain shows you like to like? What's life outside of Girls Rock for you?
Oh my, is there life outside of Girls Rock?
Of course, there has to be something.
There's gotta be, right?
You gotta share something.
Mostly I'm a really avid outdoorsy person. I love camping, things like that. I love traveling. That's kind of my big thing. I just came back from Miami a couple days ago. That was pretty fun.
Nice.
I've never been to Miami.
Okay.
So I really like stuff like that. And I love teaching workshops. I never thought it, but I guess I'm just like an educator by soul. I mostly do workshops that are like gender inclusivity workshops and things like that. And just going to lots of shows. The DC music scene is so amazing, and there's so much really good underground bands that you would never maybe run into, and then you go to a house show or you go to a party and boom, there's a band, and they're fantastic.
Absolutely. Pat, so much of that. I mean, we share it. DCMusicRocks.com, the local music calendar that we have is all local shows. But
So great.
go to these local shows and you go to places you didn't know had music, and then you'll see bands you didn't know that are awesome. And that's a lot of, it's what I've discovered, it's what you've discovered.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing. I love it. Now, my other favorite question, if you could offer one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. One piece of advice. Definitely trust yourself and organize. If you don't like something, or if you think, the problems of the world, let's say, are too big and you can't do anything about it, definitely look to your neighbor. I'm sure they're feeling the same thing, and organize and get things done.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is that something that you've experienced personally, or say more about where that comes from for you?
Yeah, I try to do that in my everyday life. Back in Brooklyn, I was part of being a woman-fronted or female-dominated band. Back then, it was really hard for us to get shows. People wouldn't even talk to me, even though I was the singer and one of the we were two guitars and a drummer.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't talk to me. They would go right up to my male counterpart and be like, "Oh my God, you guys are so good. So you write all the music, right?" And she just kind of sings, huh? And it was really devastating. I was just like, "Come on, like I'm doing all this work here,
Right.
And got together with some friends who were also, facing a similar kind of thing, and just said, we need to create shows that are for us, and if other people want to come, cool, we welcome everybody, but we're not getting on any bills. So really just kind of getting out there and doing what you have to do to get yourself out there,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take it on. I love that. What a cool message. And now, one more time, for those folks who want to find out more about Girls Rock DC and all the things going on with you guys, where do they go?
Yeah, so to find out more about our after-school program, our adult rock camp, or our summer camp.
There's an adult camp,
I know.
too? So
Forgot to
cool.
mention that.
Okay. Is that one also a 9:30 Club show?
No, so that one we
Okay,
do
got it.
at, like, the Black Cat.
Okay.
Yeah, we always
I got
partner
you.
with other...
There's still going to be a show at the end.
Totally.
It's a week-long music education and then a show.
Yeah, so that one's
That's so
actually
cool.
just a weekend.
Oh, weekend?
Yeah.
That's even better. Dang.
So
Okay.
19 to 127 if you want to learn an instrument or
Ages
19? Yes.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
You want to learn an instrument or learn how to be a DJ, we have an awesome DJ program.
Okay.
It's a weekend long, usually around Labor Day kind of thing.
Yep.
And the show is usually on the Monday.
Got it. There it is.
So
and that's all.
girlsrockdc.com. .org, sorry.
.org. Girlsrockdc.org.
Girlsrockdc.